Hey everyone, Darren Cornell here. Welcome to my studio again. Welcome to part 7 of the Sark tutorial. It has been a few weeks since the last video, or a few weeks for me recording this. Obviously, hopefully you're seeing this just a few days, but it has been a few weeks for me. My hair is longer, my beard is longer, everything's a mess. Because I actually can't show you it because it's been varnished and I can't touch it. Didn't time that very well. Anyway, the last video I started painting the glow paint. I think we did the identity disc, did the lines on that. We tested that, it looks great. Shows up brighter on cam than it does in person, but it still glows in person. We did that. And I was going to go ahead and paint the rest of the statue doing exactly the same thing, which I did, which took me weeks and weeks. I didn't realize just how labor intensive and time intensive this was going to be, because I would have to use tiny brushes, paint all of the circuit details. So if you look at Sark, he's got like a load of dots and lines and stuff on here, and then there's stripes going down here that go around, and then there's the bits on here, and they've got the thick edges, and then they've got lots of dots along there, and then lots of lines, and that's for one arm. Now what you have to do is I had to do multiple coats of white on each of those, so that, like I've just described there, 2 arms, the chest, the stomach, the back, the head. Everything has got to be painted in white, let it dry, paint it all again. That alone took days and days. Then I would have to go in with this, and what I ended up doing, I'd painted some with just this colour, and I realised it was actually the wrong shade of orange. I didn't like it. It was too orange, it was too bright. I wanted it to look a little bit more red, but not to be red, but it still needed to be this because it needs to glow. So what I did was found out a colour that I could mix, and you can sort of, hopefully if there's nothing liquid on this that's going to pour everywhere. Actually looks very, very orange on that camera. I cover that up. There's a orangey red colour there, which was basically, I would take some of this, put it in the thing, take some this Vallejo red, it's vermilion, that's what it's called. I would take some of that, put a few drops of that in, mix it up, and it would make a slightly more red orange. And then I would thin that down. My process for painting got better, obviously, as time went on. At first I was smudging over the lines and everything because I wasn't doing it right. I ended up thinning the paint down more and allowing the liquid to suck the paint into all the gaps, into all the crevices and the holes. Now this meant, because it was thinner, it needed more coats. It was more accurate and an easier way to paint it, but it took longer because I needed to redo everything again and again. So it took weeks, but it's done now. Oh, and I then had to go back with the original grey colour of everything that I painted, and you can see some of that in those 3 things up there. I'd have to remix the original grey colour, make sure it's absolutely perfect, then go back and neaten up around the edges of any of the orange bits where maybe it wasn't quite as neat as it should have been. It was a long process, and way longer than I thought it was going to be, but it's done now. Now I was going to paint the face next, but I can't because all of those parts of the statue, I look very low on camera here. All of those parts of the statue, the body, the arms, the discs, the legs, all of those bits are in the process of being varnished. So I laid them all out on a board, sprayed one side, let that dry. So I'm doing that now, so I can't pick it up to show you. Hopefully by the next video I'll be able to. But what we're going to do now is the base that he's going to stand on. Now this has been sculpted. I'll tell you what, I'll bring the overhead camera in to show you because that's going to be easier and clearer. So if I bring that into about maybe there. We'll give that a go. We'll change to it now and straight with me in the corner. So here I am down here. Actually, that looks okay. So I could probably do with having that a little bit further away, but that's actually okay. So there's the base. Actually, let me just check, seeing as I did this last time and recorded the whole thing and hadn't pressed record. Okay, volume is on. It is counting up. Yes, we're on. Okay, so this is the base how he's going to stand on. Now you can see around the edges, it's been sculpted with lines to match the the patterns of the grid. Just around the general area where he is, you can see these sort of lines everywhere. These shards, these shapes, are reminiscent of the shapes that are around the what's it called? The main computer thing, the MCP, main computer processor. I think that's what they call it in the film. The big baddie thing. Anyway, so that's what they look like. What's surrounding that, and those pieces are various shades of medium dark and light blue. These bits are going to be the same shades of the same colours, probably slightly varied here and there, and they're going to have those sculpted lines are going to be done with glow white or blue, or maybe a mix. Some of them may be glow blue, some of them may be glow whitish blue. I'll look at some pictures now, match it to some of the shots. But it's essentially the same colour. I've seen some of this painted where this bit is done in just a generic dark blue and these are done slightly different. In the film, it sort of matches, so I'll make them slightly different, but they're essentially going to be coming from the same colour. The bits that you can see I've already painted white. Not perfect coats, I've done 2 coats of this. It could probably do with another coat or 2, but to be honest it'll be fine because it'll I'm going to be doing enough coats of the glow paint on top of this to match it, to make it smooth. But all of these white bits are going to be the same glowing red as on the statue. So the same sort of stuff you can see there, that colour. And then ideally, it's sculpted slightly different from the real thing. But on the real thing, these pieces are sort of the ground, and then there's huge chasms between each of these pieces, and they start off with black shadows along the edges. They start off with black shadows, and as they go deeper and deeper down, they end up glowing red. Now I can't do that because these are very, very thin, almost like these were just pieces of card that were laid on top before it was moulded. So what I'm going to do is try and do neat black edging around the edges and maybe fade it into the middle a bit. Unsure about how I'm going to do that. I'll probably do a test, but all of this has got to be painted with the glow red, reddy orange. So that's going to take several coats. But what we're going to start on today is the blue. I've got a colour here called Ultramarine. I had a quick look on my palette to see what it looks like, and it's actually a good medium colour that will sit between the dark blue and the slightly lighter blue that we need, and we can use this as a base and then mix variations of that and do second coats to mix it up a bit. So we are going to do this, and we're going to start painting the outside. I maybe do a first coat on the top pieces. Honestly, I don't know how long this is going to take, but this is what we're doing today. At some point I'm going to have to paint underneath black. The whole thing will get varnished so it'll be resilient, but last time I did this I had a base for a statue and I painted it black and I varnished it with proper hardware and varnish, but it's still got loads of scratches because every time the person slides the thing around, as people do when they're repositioning things on desks or shelves, it got loads of scrapes. So I ended up getting some felt sticky pads, like just little round things, and put boop, boop, 4 of those, and it would sit and it would be slightly raised, but just on like nice felt soft pads, and I'll probably do the same with that. But for now we are just painting simple colours. So I'm going to throw some of this, mixed it up a bit. It's a bit thick, this paint. Some of these paints, because I'm still in the process of changing over to these ones. Some of the, I don't know if it's because it's how the paints are, or it's because the stocks that I've bought are from older stock. I'm not sure, but some of the Vallejo paints that I bought are really, really runny. Like, you'll drip them out and it'll go blip, blip, blip. It'll be like almost like water. And some of them, you try and put them out and you have to squeeze out, and it comes out like really thick old toothpaste or something. And I don't know if it's because they are old paints or maybe just different colours of these are different consistencies. I don't know. I'm very, very new to all of these, so I'm still learning about that. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, because let me get my chair in the right place. I'm going to have to do this, and hopefully by the time I get all the way around it'll be dry enough to hold. Okay, let's just get started. I mean, this is just the first coat anyway. This is going to go on. It will dry a little bit darker than what it is as I'm painting it, because paints always do. I have to be careful, because if my finger slips I'm going to smudge. Now, I know these edges are not going to be perfect around where it's up against the white. I'm not bothered about that at the moment, because there's going to be multiple layers of the blue ending up with multiple shades of the blue, but also there's going to be multiple layers of the glow paint going on those bits, and in the process of doing those I will neaten up the edges. So I don't really care that these edges are a little bit wobbly at the moment, because I'll probably be able to do a neater edge coming at it from this side with the glow paint, even though the glow paint goes on much thinner. It's not like you can see on this blue's going on. It's really covering the material underneath it, and the surface. The glow paint, even though it looks really, really thick, as you paint it, it just pushes around, and it sort of goes on and smooths out to almost nothing. Like the layers are almost invisible, which is why when I was doing the main part of the body, so I was trying to think of what it was called then, when I was doing the main part of the body and the arms and everything, I ended up thinning it down so I could use the surface tension to get the paint into all the holes and the circuit lines and everything. But oh, there you go, that's what I was worried about. No problem, got most of it off anyway, and I'm going to be going over that again anyway. Just because I'm resting my little finger on there, and it just went and slid down, which, let me see if I can rest it using my bit of my hand there, and that makes it really awkward. I just have to try and be careful. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I thinned the, actually I'm going to make sure that this blue goes a little bit over the edge so that it's covered for when I come to do the other stuff. I can neaten the edge up, and there's not going to be any gaps where there's just the original grey. I was thinning the glow paint down to the point where I could put some on the brush and it would be liquid, and then touch it on one of the sculpted circuit details, and the surface tension would pull the liquid off the brush into the hole and fill it up. Now, even though it was thinner paint, because I'd thinned it down so I could do that, what happened was that I was able to put, because we weren't painting on a flat surface like this, we were able to, or I was able to drop liquid. If you imagine like these lines here, so get some liquid like this blue, I've actually done this quite thin and runny, on a small brush, not a brush like this, like a little tiny pointy brush, and drop it on the line, and it would go zoop, and all the liquid would suck into that line and fill it up. Now, even though it was thinner paint, because there was more of it, and I would basically fill the sculpted channel, or the sculpted hole, with paint, as that dried, it actually dried quite thick, and more than if I was painting on a flat surface where the paint just gets pushed around everywhere, because it is rubbish paint. It glows and it's brilliant, but it's rubbish going on. So that's how I ended up doing that, using lots of layers. I still needed to do loads of coats, but it was how I was able to get all those sculpted details to fill up with glow paint. Now the flat areas, like he's got a big V thing on his chest and all those pieces, I had to paint those more traditionally, and they were a pain because they were just, flat painting, and it's nothing like the way this was going on, where you do the brush and colour goes down. What would happen is some would go down, but then as you went over it again, it would just sort of scrape it all off. Like the paint just doesn't it doesn't adhere to one surface. It's like you have to just put it down and let it dry, which is a very different way of painting. But once you get it all on and you do enough coats of it, sorry, I'm just holding my breath while I'm doing that bit. Once you get it down and you get enough coats of it done, it does cover it over and it glows, which is all I needed to do. It just took, honestly, weeks and weeks. It has been weeks and weeks since the last video, which is very frustrating because I did not know how long it was going to take when I took on this commission. I didn't realise it was going to take that much of my time. I thought, oh, it's all grey. It's one colour. It'll be easy. I'll do it dead quick. Yeah, no. Not even in the slightest. But it's fine. It looks great, and it will look amazing when the whole thing is done and put together on this. So it'll be worth it. So we're just making our way around, and like I said, this is just the first coat. I'm going to go over with another coat, probably of the same colour. I'll see how it dries. It's drying now, but I'll see how it is when it's fully dry. And I'll either go over with another coat of the same colour to flatten it out and then start doing the variations where I want it. Some bits to be slightly lighter, some bits to be slightly darker. Or I'll just keep this as a first coat, as it, even if it's slightly uneven, and just do the different shadings on top, and that will provide the extra layers. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I will figure that out. But for now, we are just putting colour down. I'm taking it roughly up to the edge because that's going to be painted over again with the glow paint. So this is not the neat edge that it needs to be. How am I going to hold this? Okay, that's starting to dry. Okay, I'll hold it. I'm going to hold it there. I'm going to try not to touch the edge. It's actually quite difficult, and I can tell already I'm going to get cramp in that hand by holding it like this. It's also not the most stable, but it'll be fine. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I've gone quiet there. Completely couldn't think of anything to say. This is always the problem when I'm doing real-time videos, when I'm not editing them, for speed, and I'm also supposed to be talking. Because once I've done my talking about a thing, there's sometimes just not anything else to say. But then I talk so much, you guys could probably do with a break and just watching me paint to the quiet music anyway? I don't know. Almost done now. Cool. That's already looking okay. So what I'll do once that's dried properly and I can see what colour the blue actually has turned out to be, I can go and compare it to some screenshots and go, okay, you know what, I could do with that being, some of it being a bit darker and some of it being maybe a little bit more green and a bit, because there's different shades in the film, you know, whether it's the floor or the walls, or so I'll just go by the screenshots. What I might do, because all of these pieces are going to be exactly the same, even though I'm going to be painting the orange, ideally I'm going to be painting the orange first. Give me a sec. Because what needs to happen, and if it was just single coats and being done once, what I would need to do is to paint the orange on here, make the edges neat, then paint this blue on top of those pieces, and then go on and shade them and do the black edges and do the black shading with the orange, and maybe add some different orange to add some highlights. It's going to be multiple coats of each though. So what I might do, seeing as I can hold this like this, just having it rest on my hand, I might start doing these blue panels, the floor panels. So what I might do, let me just try and rinse this blue off the brush so it doesn't dry and ruin the brush. I'm going to drip some more of the colour out, and seeing as it's only been 23 minutes and at least 7 minutes of that was talking, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. We'll do the first layer of blue, or you know, at least start them until it gets boring, and then I'll let you go. So I'm going to drop some more down. I'll do it in the other corner. Oh yeah, it goes out thick, doesn't it? Okay. Gloop, gloop, gloop. Gloop. Now then, let me get, what was I using? The flower enhancer. Mix some of that in. Okay. Now this is going to be the first, just the first coat like this stuff, and it'll dry and it may end up being messy, and I'm going to go over the orange stuff anyway. So this is just getting a colour down so that I don't have to do multiple colours after I've done the orange and maybe make it a bit more difficult. I've got the colour, we're in the middle of a video, let's just carry on and do some more. So I don't know what brush to use. Can I do it with this? I might be able to take it up to the edge with this brush. I don't know whether to just use this brush to do the middle sections and then get a tiny pointy brush for the edges, but I actually think if I'm careful I can just do that. Because the edges are going to be painted in black anyway, and underneath is going to be done in orange. So as long as these edges are roughly neat, and even if some of the blue does go onto the white, it's fine. I'll cover it up just before I paint the first lot of orange. Actually, just almost did make a little mess there, but that's fine. I'm just trying to be careful where I lean my hand and making sure we're on camera still. That helps. Because anything that needs neatening up, I'll just do that before we paint the orange. But I just wanted to get a coat of the colour down as a base, and then we can go on, and because these will be possibly more varied than the side panels, which are going to have darker and lighter bits in them, but I think that's more going to be more shading, whereas I think these panels, individual panels, are going to be slightly different colours. I think that's how the flooring is in that area of the Tron film, where they're by the main computer core. All of the shards that lead up to that, they're all blue, but some of them are. It's as if it's reflections. Like some of them, it's like they're made of slightly different materials. So some of them are reflecting light slightly different in slightly different angles, and that's what it sort of looks like. So some of them are lighter blue, more green blue. Some of them are darker, but they're all sort of based on the same colour. So there you go. There's the first one done, and the edges aren't done because that's going to be gone in with a little tiny brush and filled in with black. But that is probably going to happen before the... I don't know. I'm not sure yet. To be honest, I could do these things in a number of different orders, and they've all got benefits and, you know, positives and downsides to doing them certain ways. But as long as we get the colour down at this stage, that's the main thing. I just realised by going around in the direction that I'm going here, that's no good, because as I go further around, I'm going to need to rest my finger on there, and then as I go around to another one, I'm going to be resting it on a thing that's wet. I need to be going around that way. There you go. There's a way to figure out when you're doing something wrong. Or an example of figuring out when you've done something wrong, I should say. I can't even talk at the moment. I've been so busy. My brain is just mush. There you go. Starting to build it up now. That's all I'm doing. Which way do I mean, I could go around that way if I flipped it upside down, or I could go around. I don't know. I just realised that no matter which way I'm going round on this thing, I still need to turn them upside down to paint the opposite edges, which makes it hard at some point, whichever side I'm doing it from. Thankfully this bit is dry enough that I can put my finger on it and it doesn't make a mess or anything. Okay, there you go. So you can see what I'm doing, and this is going to be a long, slow video. You know what? Just very quickly, I'm going to come back to this one, because if I do this whole thing on camera, it's going to be a long, slow, boring video because I've already run out of things to say. It's a very different series, this one, I know, because a lot of it is giving you an example of here's the thing I'm doing, and then I just have to do it over the whole thing, often with multiple coats. It's very different from painting a face. When we paint the face, each of those bits will be, you know, like normal. They will be interesting and different because we'll be doing a different thing each time. Whereas at the moment, it's just a lot of me doing stuff in silence, like I'm sort of doing now. So we might as well stop this video. I know these are short ones. I know I was going to add another one in, and honestly I sort of forgot. So what I will do is, once I finish this one piece, because I'm focusing on it now and I want to finish it before all the paint dries and it looks a bit weird if I just stop it halfway through. So I will stop this video, I will finish the rest of all of this blue and let the first coat dry, and then I will decide how I'm doing the rest of it. Will it be multiple coats of this same colour, so you can sort of see what it's looking like, or will it be straight in with the variations and the shading and the slightly dark, slightly light, slightly green, slightly blue, all of that stuff. Oh no, my moustache is tickling my nose and is way too long. Everything is way too long. Hair, beard, everything just needs all going. So I'm going to carry on. So that was today's video. Sorry, short and rubbish, but we're doing something different now. Well, different from me. I've spent weeks painting all the glow stuff. You should be able to see that in the next video because it should be dried by then, so I should be able to show that how it looks. It'll be shiny because it's got the first coat of varnish on while I'm working on it, so I didn't want to rub off any of the paint that I'd spent so long doing. So it will look shiny and weird, but obviously when it's done, it'll be dull coated and it will look like he looks in the film. It'll be nice and matte. But for now, when we see it next time, it'll look shiny and it will look weird, but that's just protection so it doesn't get damaged. That's it. I'm going to go. I am going to finish the rest of this and then we'll come back in the next video and either we'll paint the face if the other stuff is dry and done and ready, or because we're already doing it, we'll carry on with this. Maybe we'll paint the glow paint. I'll figure out. I don't know how much to do on camera and how much to do off camera. This is a sort of me figuring it out as I go along. I've no idea, to be honest. We'll do something. Right, have a good, wherever you are, have a good week or have a good weekend. Have a good day. Thanks for sticking with me. I know these videos have been shorter. I know they've been a bit boring, but the statue when it's done will look amazing. So it's sort of worth it. It's just a very different process for me to paint and especially to film. Right, look after yourselves. That's it. I'm going because I'm repeating myself. I will see you soon. And thanks for being here. Thanks for being a patron. Thanks for letting me do stuff like this. And see you in the next video. Take care. Have a good time. See ya.